While we are talking, Dave and Megan, about revolts by your best athletes, LeBron James, when he's not backhanding Isaiah Stewart, he and Enes Kanter are going back and forth at it again through intermediaries. And again, this is a rivalry that has like some long roots, but it flared up again in 2018 or 19 around the Daryl Morey free Hong Kong tweets. And now here is Enes Kanter with the custom sneakers taking shots at LeBron, tweeting that LeBron will shut up and dribble when China tells him to. But LeBron saying, look, I passed this guy on the hallway and he didn't have a thing to say to me.
If you got an issue with somebody, you really come up to him. He had his opportunity tonight. I seen him in the hallway, he walked right by me, so, you know.
Megan, like, are these situations parallel? The NBA's beef with China from a couple years ago and what we're seeing right now? I personally don't think they are, but I could be missing something.
If you're missing something, then I am as well, because I don't think they're parallel. There could be information that the public doesn't know, but my only question to Enes Kanter, and it's the same question many have had on social media with regards to this situation, is why are you only going after LeBron when there's many other big name athletes who are also with Nike? That's really the biggest question that I have, is if you're going to take a shot at the king, one, you best not miss. And two, you need to take a shot at every other athlete as well too. Like that, it seems that simple. And that's the biggest question that I have. I think that's probably the biggest question everybody has, next to, if you have an issue with him, why not just utilize the fact that you can literally walk up to him in the hallway in the back of house of an arena when you play him and have that conversation with him. You can have your agent reach out to his agent and set up a conversation, whether it's via FaceTime, whether it's via Zoom. Like, you have the ability that most people don't have to get access to LeBron if you want to have this conversation with him. But as I said, my biggest question to him is, if you're going at LeBron, why are you not going at any other athlete? And I'm not picking on these athletes, but just to name a few alone in the NBA: Zion Williamson, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. We can go to other sports, Serena Williams. Like, there's other Nike athletes that he's not speaking about. And he's only speaking about LeBron. And to be clear, like, full disclaimer, I'm not saying these athletes are in any way should be talked about the way he's talking about LeBron. I'm just saying, from an example standpoint, he's only going after one. Why are you not going after all of them? If this is your issue.
You don't see him tweeting at Eliud Kipchoge saying, hey, it was impressive that you ran the marathon world record with the Chinese government's strings controlling you, you puppet. Like, he didn't tweet that,
like,
but
he's only going after LeBron. And it's, to be honest with you, it's unfair to LeBron that he's the only one that he's going after. If you have an issue with all athletes working under Nike, why aren't you going at all of them?
Also, like, two things, Dave, I'm going to throw you in a minute, but it's two things, and maybe you can pick up on where I'm headed here, that need to be put to bed forever about LeBron versus China in the Daryl Morey era. One is that this was never LeBron James's fight. Like, this was Daryl Morey not just tweeting something about China, but retweeting something about China. He retweeted free Hong Kong, and because it seemed like a good idea. Sure, it's a good idea. We all love human rights. And then the blowback came, and he said, I don't want any more of this fight. So he deleted the retweet. And by that point, this all somehow became LeBron James's fault. So here we have something that Daryl Morey starts, and he understands very quickly he does not have time or energy for this fight. He leaves, and somehow now LeBron James is supposed to go fight this fight on behalf of Daryl Morey, who already just demonstrated that he did not want this. He just retweeted something because he thought it was cool. Second of all this stuff was happening when there were NBA teams in China playing exhibition games. Now, we just finished talking about how even your profile as an athlete might not protect you from the authorities in China if they decide that they are upset with you and want to make you disappear for a couple of weeks, go sit house arrest in a jail, wherever. So now here's LeBron James. And the other thing about China, and everyone says correctly, the NBA is getting a lot of money from China. Yes, they are. So now you expect LeBron James, acting unilaterally, to go say something that, one, jeopardizes all these sponsorship deals, which is going to decrease the revenue that they use to calculate the salary cap. So everybody loses money because LeBron James said something unilaterally. Like, it'd be different if he had sat down with all the players and they said, yeah, go do it. We're comfortable losing the money, but he can't make this decision on his own for the whole union in real time. And two, we've just established that people who run afoul of the authorities in China might disappear. There are NBA players in China right at that moment, and LeBron James is going to go thumb his nose at the Chinese government, say, F you guys, I'm here for freedom, while his co-workers are still over there. LeBron James is a lot of things, but he's not dumb, and he's not just going to go endanger his co-workers like that. What say you, Dave?
I say I'm very disappointed in Enes Kanter, somebody who on a host of issues has shown himself to be, I would argue, very politically sophisticated. I mean, he speaks on global issues ranging from the Middle East to the situation in Turkey. These are complicated, difficult situations, and he's made an effort to be an intelligent voice on all of them. But this to me was an absolute fail, because I missed the memo where LeBron James became the CEO of Nike. It's like, if you have a problem with how Nike does business, you go after Nike, for goodness sake. I mean, LeBron James, for all of his fame, for all of his power, effectively is somebody who works for Nike. And if we all chose to go under the microscope for where we happen to work or make money, or actually in some way, shape, or form, benefits probably the wrong word, but are entangled with China, which is a global entity, which has its fingers in every part of U.S. life, from the toys that your children play with to the medicine that your spouse might take. I mean, this is something that is so intertangled that if you want to deal with it, you got to go to the top on this. And so the Enes Kanter, who I've become accustomed to hearing over the last several years, would keep his focus and keep his ire on people like Phil Knight, and about why Nike chooses to do business there, why it does sweatshop work, why it does all these things, where are the labor protections. Those are the questions worth asking. To pose those questions to LeBron James feels like cheap theater to me. And I found myself being very sympathetic to LeBron when he talked about passing Kanter in the hallway of a game the day that Kanter made these statements, and Kanter not saying something to him directly. Because at the end of the day, also, they're co-workers in a business. And if you have something to say to somebody, you say it to their face. Like, I have a problem with you being a sponsor for this product. Let's talk about what we can do to try to make it better. Let's talk about what we can do to amplify our concerns. That should be the strategic move at play if Kanter's that concerned. But to talk about LeBron James as if he's somehow this Illuminati-esque power broker at the helm of this multi-billion-dollar shoe industry is an absurdity. And frankly, all it does is feed the people on the right who love to scapegoat LeBron. And they are after LeBron not because of his connections with China, but because he says things about racism in the United States. And that's why they said shut up and dribble to him in the first place. And so for him to even incorporate that, all that does is provide support for some of the very hypocrites who do tons of business with China, but are also looking to attack people who speak to the issues of racism in the United States.
Yeah, go ahead, Megan.
And Dave, to your point, these are the same people who are, I don't know if encouraging is the right word, but they are encouraging what a lot of the issues Enes Kanter has spoke on in the past.
Exactly.
And a lot of the human rights issues, like they encourage that. And now he's giving them more ammo, to your point. And it's, I think of the situation and it's just like, it's just really disappointing. It's really disappointing because, to Dave's point, the way that Enes Kanter has educated himself on other political issues other than those that have happened in his home country of Turkey, he's put his life on the line. He's put his family's lives on the line to speak out against his home country. And he's educated himself on other things. So for him to completely take this left turn, like, you could have easily just walked up to LeBron again and said, bro, I need to talk to you. Like, can we have a conversation, on an off day when we're both off, and talk this out? Because I want to say some things to you. I don't necessarily agree, but I'd like to talk to you and have this conversation and it not be public. Like, that's really the thing. Like, be man enough and, respectful enough to have this conversation with him privately rather than doing it on social media.
Yeah, and what it feels like to me is it has strong, like, this latest broadside at LeBron James has strong undertones of the what about black on black crime people. Like when a unarmed black person gets shot by police or by some vigilantes like Ahmaud Arbery, and a group of black people protest against that, and there's always these voices coming from the other side of the political spectrum saying, what about black on black crime? Why aren't you people focused on black crime? Which, like, if they knew more black people, they would understand that all kinds of black people are focused on fighting so-called black on black crime, which in a country that is segregated is just crime, because black people tend to live around other black people and white people tend to live around other white people. But also it misunderstands. It's sort of like asking your dentist why he or she doesn't do heart surgery. Like, people have areas where they focus. So this would be different. It'd be different if LeBron James took all his money and just spent it all on like Bleeding Gums Murphy, just spent it all on Fabergé eggs, right? Then you'd say, hey, you're wasting your power, you hypocrite, blah, blah, blah. But like, LeBron James is a guy who is out of his own pocket written checks to send people to feed hungry kids at school at elementary school in Akron, to take high school graduates from Akron and send them to university at no cost to them and their families. So we can't pretend that under whatever definition of giving back that LeBron James is not doing that. But
let's also keep in mind too, today's other point of them being coworkers. LeBron was part of the Players Union executive board. So he actually assisted in making sure Enes Kanter as a coworker was taken care of.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, but what about
and this
China?
Is the thanks he gets.
Well, exactly.
And it just, the thing that I'll keep going back to this that bothers me so much is that LeBron James is not Phil Knight. It's like, do you want to get something actionable done, or are you just trying to create some social media hay? And that's why it felt cheap, because it hasn't been Kanter's way of his walk to just take social media shots because he wants to get some light on the issues that he cares about. I mean, going after LeBron like this would be like going to a doctor and being like, why isn't there national health care and why haven't you created this yet? I mean, you got to go where the levers of power actually are, not to people just because they have shine and a platform, and so you want to tear them down to make your point. That's an ugly political practice. It's very much of the social media age, and beneath, to me, the person that Enes Kanter has been.
He could have utilized LeBron and got him to actually have a conversation with Phil Knight.
Yes.
That's the other thing.
Now he won't even probably think about that.
No.